Hi there, it's Nicole here today for Kerri Bradford Studio, and I am sharing 6 clean and simple cards that feature Kerri's stamps, 2 of her stamp sets, and a digital die cut border. And what's so great about digital die cuts is that you can take a border and resize it, any image, and resize it to fit the project that you're creating. And for this example, I resized a border from one of her Borderlines kits to fit the 5.5-inch tall card. To start, I have got a bunch of 3-inch by 5.5-inch panels of white cardstock. This is smooth white cardstock. And I'm using the Misty because that's really going to help make this a lot easier to get a nice clean stamped impression, especially for a bolder greeting. You can see how it's kind of faint. Since I'm using the Misty, I can ink it up twice and just ink it as many times as I need to get that big, bold, black greeting. I really want it to stand out. Next, I'm going to start building my background, almost like a pattern paper. She's got these gorgeous florals in the Fresh Air stamp set that I think will be really pretty stamped as a background all over my card. Now, I did get a little smudge of ink there. Instead of starting all over, a smudge of that peachy keen ink from Lawn Fawn, instead of starting over, I am simply going to stamp a flower right where I have that smudge because I don't want to begin again. And since I'm doing an all over pattern, I was able to kind of disguise it that way. So if you have something similar happen, try to think of ways that you can maybe fix it, even if it's covering it up with something or stamping something else there, or trimming the panel down. There's lots of different solutions instead of starting all over, because this is kind of a lot of stamping. It doesn't really take that long, but it's building a lot of flowers. These particular flowers have 3 different pieces, and then there's the leaves as well. There is a solid flower image, so if you want to do more of a single color instead of doing what I'm doing here and building the color with all of the different components, you could definitely do that and it would speed it up quite a lot. I was really in the mood for springy feeling kind of cards here today, and I wanted to use as many colors as possible. There are so many awesome new colors from Lawn Fawn as well. This is the Peachy Keen and Fresh Mint, I believe is what they're called. Let me double check that real fast. And I absolutely love these colors. They are so minty fresh. I knew I said that wrong. I love that they are just perfect for springtime. The greetings I'm using are all going to be from the For You stamp set from Kerri Bradford Studio, and there's lots of different ways to use them. There are 2 on this particular card design, the hello, and then I simply adore you underneath it. I'm going to switch that up for some of the other cards. There's basically 2 different card designs. They're all going to be exactly the same. I guess I should just say there's 2 different styles of stamping. So the first one is going to be the all over floral print with the greeting up near the top, the kind of big bold scripty greeting, and a smaller one either above or below, like this one here. I got smart after I did a few of the flowers where I did every single component, built the entire flower, and moved on to the next one. Instead, I did all of the flowers and then all of the centers and all of the leaves separately. So I'm going to show you from start to finish this first one. Went ahead and adhered the panel to a white top fold card base, drew a little line of glue down each side, and attached the borders, the little die cut borders I created. I picked colors that complemented the colors of ink that I used in the card design. I just need to trim a little bit off the bottom here and overhang just a tiny bit. And the card would be perfectly fine as is right here. But I decided to take one of my very favorite new products. These are the Nuvo Morning Dew Crystal Drops, and it dries clear. It's a lot like Glossy Accents in that it dries clear, and I think it kind of looks like dewdrops. It's perfect for embellishing the center of things. I just love this product. If you've seen any of my videos, especially in the last week or so, I've used it a lot. I love that it doesn't seem to clog like some of the other products do. And that over almost anything else is one of the reasons I love it. Here is the next card. Again, very, very similar to the last one. Same floral shape that I'm using. Same hello greeting. I switched out the smaller phrase to how are you or how are ya instead of the I simply adore you. This one though, instead of doing all the flowers in the same color, I'm going to mix it up. So I'm going to have pink and then kind of this reddish color. And it's actually the two colors I'm using. The pink is the new ballet slippers, and the reddish color, which it looks red next to the pink here because I'm not using a red, but it's more of a peachy pink, or peachy red, I would call it. It's guava. So I'm just going to simply, again, got smarter, stamped all the flowers first. Then I'm going to stamp the next layer of the flowers, do all the pink ones, go ahead and do all the guava ones next, and then the flower centers. So very quick and easy when you do it kind of assembly line style this way to build the flowers. Again, the leaves are going to be in the minty fresh ink. But I like the difference in two different colors of flowers. You could even go and do these in all different colors. I think it would be awesome in like rainbow color. Any of your favorite colors you could use. There are so many different options. I kind of went with this particular color combination today, but I think maybe the introduction of some yellows and more orange or oranges would be really fun and very summery feeling. Lots of different ways to build these flowers. For my next card, I have this large thank you. And really, because there's a period at the end of the thank you, I put my smaller greeting that reads from me to you above it. But they won't, I'm trying to get it lined up. It's so teeny tiny, it can be kind of tricky. So once I kind of have that the way I want it to look, I decided to stamp the thank you first. And then I will go back, place that smaller phrase, and stamp it right above there. Or maybe I went ahead and I did. I picked up the thank you, then I lined up the smaller greeting above that. You can do it either way. Again, I'm going to ink this up and stamp it on that strip. The Misty is so great for this because you can see there are some faint areas in that thank you, and it would be really hard to line it up if you weren't using some sort of a stamp positioner tool. This flower I'm switching up to one of the other flowers from the Fresh Air that also has two components to it. So it has a solid image, and then it has the outline image, and then I'm of course taking the leaves as well just for that third color on this panel. But you could also take the individual outline flower as it is and color it in with anything. I think it would also be gorgeous stamped and embossed and watercolored. It would be great stamped and colored in with any kind of markers that you own. Lots of different ways to use this. The solid image is definitely going to be your fastest way to create something like this if you were doing an entire pattern background like I am doing on all my cards here today, but definitely would be a pretty flower to color as well. Once I have all of my little leaves stamped here, this panel is going to be done, and I can go ahead and assemble this card as well. All of the assembly for the cards is exactly the same, with the strip on a top fold card base and then the borders attached on either side. So once I kind of got rolling with the cards, after I did the first initial one, I would do the strip, add the Morning Dew Nouveau Crystal Drops to the backgrounds, and then set that aside to dry while I worked on the next one. This is the next style of card, which again, the design is the same, but the greetings are changed up a little bit. I'm going to use these thank you, thank you, thank yous, and then switch out the greeting inside of it with either the many thanks or you are amazing. This is where the MISTI comes in handy again, because I can simply stamp this in the same place each time. So I did all 3 panels at the same time, stamped each of those, and then I'm going to take the next greeting that reads, "You are amazing," and stamp that. If you are making a bunch of thank you cards, this would come in super handy because you just do each thing step by step. So there is the first one. Here you can see I'm just going to switch it out for the next one that has that little opening there. Ink up my greeting again and stamp. And finally, we'll grab the last one. And this is where I decided to switch it up to the mini thanks, because there's so many little thank yous there. I think the mini thanks is really cute, and it's nice and bold, so you definitely see it. I think this would be a really fun tag to put on a card as well. So if you stamped all this and then either stamped it directly on a tag or die cut a tag and then stamped it on there, I think that would be fun. I am building floral or kind of leafy design borders along the bottom and top edge of these panels using a whole bunch of different inks. This is the Minty Fresh, Guava, Ballet Slippers, and Carrot, all Lawn Fawn inks. And just at varying heights along the bottom, I'm going to flip my panel around and have them coming in from the top. This is going to give a nice little punch of color from the top and the bottom, but not go over any of the text. For this card, I really felt like I didn't want anything covering up any parts of the text. I wanted it to kind of be highlighted, and the borders coming in from the bottom and the top are definitely going to highlight the stamped greetings. Once I have this stamped, I'm going to put the little bumblebee from the Fresh Air stamp set flying above those florals there and stamp him with black ink. That way, since I'm using the MISTI, I can stamp him in the exact same spot on all 3 panels. And because he's a nice solid image, I can stamp it one on top of another twice, and it's really going to make a big difference. I'm taking those same Morning Dew crystal drops and adding little drops to any of the little dots on the design. This definitely was quite a few little drops, but it makes such a huge difference in the finished cards, and it's not very difficult. Like I said, this bottle doesn't clog, at least it hasn't for me so far, and I have used it a ton, and it makes it so fantastic to create these wonderful little dimensional drops all over. Where these cards don't have a ton of embellishment or a ton of things going on, and I wanted to keep them fairly clean and simple, it makes a huge difference to add some very subtle dimensional things like that. Stamp again the bumblebee. Go ahead and do my third one real quick. You can see I did it very much assembly line style. And again, I will put those little crystal drops on and finish up my cards by putting them on a top fold card base and then adding the die cut Borderlines 3 border. Thanks for joining me today for these clean and simple cards showcasing Kerri Bradford Studio stamp sets and digital die cuts. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos showcasing Kerri Bradford Studio digital die cuts and stamps that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.